It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that the 17th century was an incredibly dangerous time, especially for anyone who dared to challenge the prevailing scientific beliefs. If you had suggested back then that the Earth revolved around the Sun instead of the other way around, there was a very high chance you'd be immediately thrown in jail. Not only that, but there were also many brutal and inhumane methods of torture common during that era. The 15th to 16th centuries were particularly horrific for women. If a woman used science to do anything unusual, she would be immediately declared a witch and publicly burned alive. However, this was just the beginning of those tortures. In this presentation, we'll shed light on some torture machines and methods so chilling they'll make your skin crawl. The Iron Maiden, a coffin of iron. Ancient Egyptian pharaohs would build lavish tombs for themselves before they died, where they would be mummified and laid to rest peacefully. Now imagine a similar iron coffin, but with large sharp spikes lining its interior. This torture device was known as the Iron Maiden. It was a notorious method of torture where a person would be locked inside this upright coffin. Don't worry, it wouldn't kill you instantly. The spikes would certainly pierce your skin, but if you stood correctly, they wouldn't cause much immediate harm. The challenge, though, was that after standing in that position for just an hour, your body would become incredibly tired and you'd inevitably try to move at least once. That's when the spikes would start doing their work. A few more hours would pass and your legs would grow even more exhausted. You'd remain in that coffin for an entire day without food or water. Blood would be rapidly draining from your body and you'd involuntarily begin to lose consciousness. But as soon as you passed out, those spikes would pierce your body again and the pain would jolt you awake. Imagine this exact scenario repeating itself over and over. Very few people could endure this torture for more than 2 or 3 days. If you had to survive this situation, how would you? Your biggest goal would be to stay conscious for as long as possible. Most Iron Maiden coffins didn't have spikes on the side areas inside. By placing your hands there, you could slightly alleviate the pressure on your legs. Unfortunately, you couldn't do much more than that. Unless someone opened the door from the outside, escaping was impossible. Fortunately, this torture device hasn't been used since the 15th century. But this was just one of thousands of torture techniques. Chinese torture, from tickles to death. Indeed, the very word torture originated in ancient China. Before any other country in the world, China used various forms of torture. During the 220 AD period, a tickling torture method was the most popular and effective. For nearly 2,000 years, this type of torture was used in China, and it was quite easy to administer. First, a prisoner would be laid on a table and completely restrained. Then, salt water would be rubbed on the soles of their feet. After that, a goat would be tied near the prisoner's feet in the same room. The goat would continuously lick the prisoner's feet for hours, causing intense tickling. For the first few minutes, this torture might even seem enjoyable. But imagine this going on for 10 straight hours. Your feet have over 200,000 nerve endings, making even a soft touch incredibly sensitive. If this torture continued for too long, your lungs would soon stop getting air and you'd quickly suffocate to death. The bamboo torture, nature's cruelty. Now it's time to talk about history's most lethal torture technique. All the tortures I've mentioned so far would seem like child's play compared to this one. Let's go back to ancient China. The torture that's about to unfold wouldn't happen in a jail, but in the open jungle. This infamous torture technique is called the bamboo torture. In this, a prisoner would be tied directly above a cut bamboo plant, perfectly parallel to it. The shoots directly beneath the prisoner would be sharpened with a knife and simply left as is. Over a few days, those plants would grow taller and slowly pierce right through the prisoner's body. Bamboo grows incredibly fast, up to 1 meter in a single day. The shoots of this plant are so strong that your body cannot stop them from growing. They'd slowly penetrate your body, and after a while, they'd even emerge from the other side. In this torture, a person could survive for a maximum of 2 or 3 days. This was one of the most agonizing torture techniques of ancient China.
The Brazen Bull, a blazing symbol of bronze.
But there was an even more agonizing death given to prisoners in ancient Rome. This torture was called the Brazen Bull. Just as the Iron Maiden existed in England, the Brazen Bull existed in Rome. This bull-shaped structure was entirely made of bronze, and it had a small door in its belly through which the prisoner could be locked inside. Unfortunately, this wasn't some small prison where you could just sit for days. Once locked inside, a fire would be lit directly beneath the bull. The bronze bull would slowly become incredibly hot, burning the prisoner alive to death. You probably know that dying by fire is one of the most painful ways to die. In this torture, the prisoner would slowly die from the fire and its heat. Escaping from this bull was almost impossible. You might think you could break out from the door you entered, but there would be so little space inside the bull that you wouldn't have enough room to properly move. Many movies show people breaking out of such confines with a 1-inch punch, but even that takes years of mastery. Death by elephants, ancient India's punishment. The bamboo torture and the brazen bull torture are among some of history's very famous techniques, but they aren't officially documented in any records. No individual's name is recorded as having died from these tortures. However, the next torture I'm going to talk about is mentioned in Hindu scriptures. In ancient India, people were put to death by being crushed by elephants. These elephants were specially trained not to kill people in one go. First, with the help of elephants, the prisoners' hands and feet would be crushed, and then finally their heads. Surprisingly, these executions were performed in front of thousands of people. An elephant weighs up to 4,000 kilograms, and escaping its massive feet was almost impossible. Different ancient countries used different torture techniques, but today all these methods have been banned. However, that doesn't mean torture has completely stopped. I'm sure humans have discovered even more horrific torture methods. The only difference is that the world hasn't found out about them yet. If you're eager to learn more about such profound and fascinating historical facts, don't forget to subscribe to the Terronex channel. Hit that bell icon so you're always updated with our upcoming videos.